you look at those two guys, and they're doing as much as they possibly could be expected of them in a short notice situation like this. It's not been enough for the Wolves to stack some wins together, but they have kept them from getting blown out, which you might expect to happen to them, just given their shorthanded situation right now.
We have a bunch of Twitter questions I want to get to. Let's do a few of those now. But first, quickly, why is Andrew Wiggins rebounding better under Ryan Saunders than he was under Tom Thibodeau?
Yeah. I think we're just seeing more effort, and I think that it has waxed and waned a little bit. Especially, he still has shown a maddening tendency to kind of float through portions of games, even with Ryan as the coach. But one thing that has been constant for him is he is getting to the glass and using his athleticism to just jump over people and grab big, important rebounds. That is what we've been waiting to see from Andrew Wiggins. And, a lot of people are still down on him for kind of the inconsistency, and I understand that. There's no doubt about it. But, he's in these 10 games that Ryan's coached, he's averaging 21 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, 2.1 assists. He's being more aggressive. And I think that's what people have wanted to see from him. You still want to see more of it, but there are some of these signs that he is giving a more consistent effort in some of the other areas that we just had not seen under Tibbs. I think he has a better relationship with Ryan Saunders than he did with Tom Thibodeau, for sure. I think that there is a connection there that certainly does help things. That said, I still think that there is a lot of room for improvement. And as Ryan said last night, he said, we need more of that. He had 35 points last night, was really aggressive going to the rim. They need more of that. But there are some signs that there is a little bit more to Andrew Wiggins' game, and that he's a little more willing to give it now with Ryan Saunders than there was with Tom Thibodeau.
Let's get some Twitter and other questions that we have rolling in right now. But first, let me thank sodastick.com. Just like it sounds, soda like Minnesota, SOTA stick.com. They do lots of special runs to go with all the cool basketball gear they usually have. Right now, they have Skol Flex Fit hats and caps. Skol obviously referring to the Vikings and the Vikings catchphrase. They have a Skol Palm beanie. They have Skol women's slouchy pullover. I think every pullover I wear is a slouchy pullover. I will have to say that. Skol women's fit T-shirts, Skol crew neck shirts. They have a bunch of Axe related University of Minnesota style outfits. They have all kinds of stuff related to Adam Thielen, John Randall, Kent Herbeck, the Miracle on Ice, the North Stars, Valhalla trucker caps, which are an obvious reference. So always go to sodastick.com to check out their latest releases. As I said, they're also working on some Talk North themed stuff that we look forward to getting to you. Check out sodastick.com. Let's see, a email that you sent me from one of our listeners, from Tony Brosson. I hope I'm getting his name correct. What do you think is the root cause of the Wolves' challenge in defending the three-point line? Is it coaching, defensive schemes, or is it player ability? And watching other teams defend the Wolves' three-point line, there seems to be a clear distinction.
Yeah, I think there's a few things that are getting in the way right now. What we have seen for a lot of the year, even when Tibbs was here, and certainly carried over to Ryan as well, is dribble penetration from the guards is really killing them. And so what happens is that the Timberwolves guards have had trouble staying in front of the opposing team's ball handlers. And so when they get into the lane and into the paint, the entire Wolves defense has to collapse. And when they collapse, that just leaves people wide open, especially in the corners for threes. And opposing teams are just strafing the Wolves from those corner threes. Utah did it again on Sunday. It's happening on a night in and night out basis. And Ryan talked a little bit about it last night in his post-game remarks in terms of trying to look at, do they even need to instruct their wing players to just stay with those shooters on the perimeter no matter what, even if a guard gets past the first line of defense, because maybe you decide you'll take a layup instead of a three-pointer if you have to pick your poison. But I think if they had Tyus Jones, if they had Robert Covington, that certainly would make a big difference as well. But there's no question that they're fighting and scrambling and trying to find a way to limit those shots, and they just have not been able to do it. Not from the start of the season to where we are right now, and that's one of the big reasons that they are losing games. They gave up 71% shooting to the Jazz in the second half last night, and they just could not get a stop, and a lot of it came on wide open looks that the Jazz were getting because the Wolves couldn't stay with their guys on the perimeter, and it's hurting them big time.
From My Name is Trey on Twitter, any way the Wolves can make a move for Connolly.
It's good. That would be really difficult to pull off. I mean, Wiggins would have to be involved essentially because Conley's price tag in his contract is so big. You'd have to include Wiggins there, and I don't think that Memphis, if they are going to choose to trade Mike Conley or Marc Gasol, I don't think Wiggins is going to be high on their list of guys they want back. I mean, as much of an improvement as we have seen from Wiggins here and there, he's still not playing to a level that would get anyone to bite on that 5-year, $148 million contract right now. When a team decides to move off star veterans and kind of rebuild, usually they want draft picks, they want young players on rookie deals that can develop, or they want young stars that are really established on their second contracts. And Wiggins is still trying to establish himself. Obviously, they wouldn't take, Gorgie Jang or Jeff Teague. Those contracts are albatrosses around the Wolves' necks. So the chances of getting into that Conley sweepstakes, even though he would be a really, really nice fit here, I just don't see them being able to bring the bullets to the table to get a deal like that done.
From Luke Skoll on Twitter, any chance the Wolves could be the third team in on an Anthony Davis trade? Could Wiggins be moved considering the huge contracts that should be involved in any kind of deal like that? I
mean, possibly. It's not never say never. But again, like the market for Andrew Wiggins right now is not great. I think there would be a few teams out there that would take a flyer on him, but I don't think that they would send anything back of consequence for him. And so, if the Wolves would move Andrew Wiggins, they would want to get a player or two back who could help them in a meaningful way. And it's going to be really hard to construct a deal where that kind of thing happens. And on top of that, 3-way trades and 4-way trades are fun to play with in the trade machine on ESPN.com, and kind of you can put your thinking cap on and really get creative. But when you are working with more than one team to construct a trade, it becomes more and more fragile the more teams you add. And so, again, like the likelihood of that happening, very, very minimal, I would say, for Andrew Wiggins to be going out either in a trade with somebody else just straight up or in a construction of an Anthony Davis trade. Not impossible, but I certainly wouldn't bet on it.
From Tim Naring, will Okogie make the rookie-sophomore game for All-Star Weekend? I clearly care too much about this team when thinking about these things.
Hey, I don't blame you, Tim, for looking for some silver linings and some things to look forward to on All-Star Weekend. Derrick Rose did not make the team in the starting group, so I very much doubt he's going to make it as a reserve. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is on the bubble as a reserve. I think he deserves to be there, but we'll see if he makes it. But if he does not make it, then Okogie might be their only hope for any kind of Wolves presence at All-Star Weekend. And I think he should be there. I think it's a very good rookie class. I think that there's a lot of talent that that belongs on the floor. But I think Josh Okogie's played well enough. He started a bunch of games, a lot of it by injury, but he is starting and he's contributing. I mean, the offense certainly has been up and down, but defensively he's been very good. And he's a super hard worker, energy guy. He would be exciting to watch in that kind of an environment because they just kind of get up and down and use their athleticism, and so Okogie would fit right in there. So I think there's a good chance that he gets invited to that game.
From Reggie Peterson, after back-to-back losses, is the organization leaning toward being a trade deadline seller, mostly interested in any info regarding moving Teague? Do you think they want to move Teague? Do you think they can move Teague?
I think Teague is going to be another one that's tough to move. He has a player option next year for $19 million. And number one, so you have that contract situation that's weighing on anybody who wants to think about bringing Jeff Teague in. Number two, he's been injured. His foot soreness has not really improved a ton over the last week or so. And so I think that trading for Teague, even if you're a point guard starved team that just really needs somebody to come in and help you, you can't really count on him being able to answer the bell that way. And so that's why I think a Jeff Teague trade, while again not impossible, is a longer shot. Just because most teams, unless they're really desperate for some help, don't want to take on that kind of salary for next season, potentially, assuming that he would opt into that deal, because it's unlikely that he'll get anywhere close to $19 million if he were to opt out and enter free agency.
From Nikolai, and by the way, thanks again to sodastick.com and TSR Injury Law, 612-TSR TIME. And if you'd like to advertise with this program or the network, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. Would the Timberwolves have interest in Drew Holiday? This is from Nikolai. If so, what would it take, and would you pay it? He would be amazing here, or possibly more.
I think that the Timberwolves would be interested in Drew Holiday. I mean, what team wouldn't, really? I mean, he is one of the better two-way players in the league. Combo guard, can play some point guard, better off of the ball, certainly. But toughness defensively, he can hit shots. He's just a really, really good player. And he does deal with some injuries from time to time. That you'd have to give pause about. He did sign a max contract extension recently, and so he's making good money. So I think it will be hard to pry a guy like that away. But if I'm the Timberwolves, I would certainly at least inquire and see what it would take. I mean, if the Pelicans do get into some sort of fire sale situation where they're looking to get cap space and draft picks, the Wolves have a couple of one-year deals that they could offer, and a draft pick that they could offer as well, which is maybe like a top 3 or top 5 protected lottery pick. Could be intriguing to a team like the Pelicans. And so, but the one thing that the Wolves would run into if Drew Holiday becomes available, there certainly would be a bidding war for his services, and there probably are other teams out there who could offer more in exchange for Drew Holiday. But certainly I do think it is something that the Wolves should absolutely consider and look into and see if there is any common ground that they can work with to try and bring him in.
From NBA Twerk Hat on Twitter, would the Wolves consider trading Rose since his value is high and he's a free agent?
Well, Rose is a difficult position or a difficult situation. Starting with the Timberwolves salary cap situation is they're not going to have much salary cap space next year to go sign free agents. So if you trade Derrick Rose, you almost certainly have to get a player back in return that you feel really good about being in the rotation next year, because it's going to be hard to replace him. Derrick Rose is one of the best values in the NBA this season as on a minimum deal for the production that you're getting out of him. So the other thing is, because he's on a minimum deal, making salaries match up with anybody that you bring in is not an easy task either. But that all said, there's a real good possibility that the Timberwolves are going to want to hold on to Derrick Rose for the long term.